Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. It's Valentine's Day, and a very happy Valentine's Day to everyone who's celebrating, and I'm here with a romance reading vlog for you. Like I did last year, I'm going to try and read 14 romance books so that I can give you some fresh romance book recommendations for Valentine's Day. I failed to read 14 books last year, but this year, I'm going to try and get through all of those 14 books. I mean, I have a list I want to follow, but I also know that even the best laid plans can go awry. But I will still get you a vlog in which I read 14 romance books and you will get a bunch of romance book recommendations from me. So without any further ado, let's start off this vlog and let's see if I can read 14 books in 14 days to get you some fresh romance book recommendations. Before we get on with this vlog, a quick note. I have started reading A Woman Is No Man by Eta Frum and I'm about 25% in, and I will also be reading Against the Loveless World by Susan Abul Hawa this month. Eta Frum and Susan Abul Hawa are Palestinian authors, and in the wake of the violence and the genocide that Israel is perpetrating in Palestine, and by mentioning these authors in a vlog about love stories, what I'm saying is choose love and stop the freaking genocide. Hi there, today is the 2nd of February and last night I finished reading the first book for this vlog, which was I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. And if you ask me for a one-word review for this book, I'd say disappointing. This is a story of Chloe Green, who attends high school in a small Alabama town called Willow Grove. She attends Willow Grove Christian Academy, where she works hard to be the straightest student that she is, and all she wants is to be valedictorian. Standing in her way is perfect Shara Wheeler, who is beloved in the community and who also happens to be the principal's daughter. But just 1 month before graduation, Shara kisses Chloe, and on the night of the prom, ups and disappears. She vanishes, setting tongues wagging and leaving Chloe confused and scrambling for answers. Chloe realizes that she's not the only one that Shara has kissed. Shara's boyfriend Smith and her neighbor Rory also are part of what feels like an elaborate scavenger hunt that Shara has organized, the prize being her. But now that these three are thrown together, the layers are about to come off and expose more of Shara, the web that she has woven, and her character, which in turn reveal details and truths that they didn't want to admit to themselves. There was so much promise in that premise, but it ended up being a mishmash of all these ideas that kept colliding with each other and just intermittently kept spurting out coherent paragraphs. The classic Casey McQuiston humor is there, but it feels jaded somehow. Plus, by the time I reached the end, it felt like I had read two completely different books. One where Chloe and Shara had this whole pissing contest come power struggle, and the other where suddenly the whole school has banded together as a community of sorts. It gave me whiplash. I get it, a book can be two different things at once, I agree. But it should also meld those two things together seamlessly so that it doesn't feel like two different things. It should feel like one coherent book that has different facets. Anywho, I wasn't expecting my vlog about love stories to start off with a mini rant of sorts, but that's exactly what I thought about my first book for this vlog, which was I Kissed Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. So once I finished that, I started reading The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren, and I am halfway through it and I'm really liking it so far. I'll check back in once I finish reading this book. Until then, hi there, today is the 3rd of February and just a couple of hours ago I finished reading my second book for this vlog, which was The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. Jess is a freelance statistician and she is almost 30 and a single mother. She loves her work even though she has to work extra hard in order to keep her head above water, and she is tired of the dating market because of the kind of men that she has come across. She's all but swearing off of them, much to the horror of her best friend Fizzy, who happens to be a romance author. And at this point I was like, I know what Fizzy's next book is going to be about. And one day they come to know that the broody man that they drool over every morning in their coffee shop work sessions, who they lovingly call Americano because of his order, obviously, he is actually one of the founders of Genetically, or Genetically. You see the play on the word that they did there, but Genetically or Genetic Ally is a company that specializes in compatibility score calculations based on people's genes. It's not eugenics. You'll just have to read the book to convince yourself that it's not, because it's not. So now obviously Fizzy sees this as a sort of a universal cosmic sign, and she pulls Jess along to an intro and they end up giving their samples. But Jess gets called in because they have had a never seen before compatibility score match between Jess and, you guessed it right, Americano, whose actual name is River Pena. Now Genetic Ally has a proposition for her. In the face of an impending IPO, they want Jess to get to know River better and they are willing to pay her for it. Jess, in the face of bills and the impossible cost of living, and with a very active 7-year-old in the house, she accepts. As Jess and River get to know each other and make appearances at hotshot events, Jess realizes that River isn't really the uptight man that she thought him to be. But is the compatibility match or the compatibility score the only reason they are willing to try and get to know each other? Is it their choice or is it fate? I really enjoyed this book because there's this typical Christina Lauren humor in here that had me snorting with laughter. The characters are fun and funny, especially little Juno, who is a precocious little girl who is very aware of what's happening around her, and she knows how to handle certain things that even some adults wouldn't know how to. Jess and River, on the other hand, might seem a little meh at times, a little too bland as characters, but they make up for it with their chemistry. And the concept of genetic testing to see romantic compatibility is an interesting one, even though you have to scrunch your eyebrows and concentrate over and over and over again to see that it is not eugenics. No sir, thank you very much, no. And this is another example of why I love Christina Lauren so much, because unlike so many authors out there who think that centering main characters means ignoring every other character and every other culture in the whole wide world, Christina Lauren does the exact opposite. They bring to reality the actual mosaic that the world is. And although the soulmate equation isn't one of my favorite Christina Lauren books, I still did like it a lot because of these very things. I did give it a 4. That has to mean something, right? So that was book 2 for this vlog. After this, I started reading this book, Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola, and I will see you once I finish reading this book. Until then, so today is the 5th of February, and the last time I was here I told you that I was going to start reading Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. But me being the chaotic person that I am, I also started reading 2 other books in the meantime in parallel, which is why I've been ricocheting off the walls like a drunken housefly. I did, however, finish reading one of those books early this morning, which is also why I am like a drunk housefly right now, because I'm sleep deprived. So this morning, because I couldn't sleep for whatever reason, I finished reading Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. And I liked this book, but I wouldn't say that I would die for it, which is a shame because I picked Abby Jimenez's books for this vlog, especially because I loved the Happy Ever After playlist so much. But that's okay because I did end up loving the 2 main characters, Jacob and Brianna, to no end. So that's a plus. Brianna is an ER physician whose brother Benny suffers from renal failure. Her divorce will be final in a few days and her brother needs a kidney donor. He needs a new kidney, but she is in line for a new promotion, so she will be able to set things right very soon, right? Wrong. Because there's a new doctor that's joined the hospital she works at, and she's just learning that the promotion has been put on hold because of him. And for reasons that are looking more and more legitimate, she's really starting to hate this guy. But it turns out that Jacob isn't really the villain that circumstances are making him out to be, because he sends her a long, proper, heartfelt, handwritten letter apologizing for everything. A lot of back and forth ensues, which changes Brianna's mind, and when Jacob decides to become a kidney donor for Benny, it tips Brianna over the edge. Jacob, on the other hand, is shy and has social anxiety. It is also troubling him that his ex is now about to marry his brother, a fact that his family hates and is totally prepared to disown both of them for. But Jacob, being the lovely, the golden retriever of a man that he is, doesn't want this, and to avoid this he reluctantly asks for a favor from his new friend Brianna, who is more than happy to help him with this given what he's done for her brother. And this is about to become one of the sweetest games of either of their lives. Listen, I love Jacob because of the shy, socially anxious, kind, loving introvert that he is, and I love Brianna because of how strong she is, how fierce she is, and how she doesn't take shit from anyone, okay? But I swear to God, there were times when they frustrated me so much that I just wanted to crack their heads together because they were being such huge dumbasses. I get that you need some level, some amount of dumbassery in a romance novel in order to build up the tension, but this was just because if you just bloody talked, just talk, damn it. But otherwise, I love the build up, I love their chemistry, I love how similar they are but also how not similar they are. I love how they understand each other, which is why it frustrated me so much, you know. You've got this whole understanding going on, why would you trash that because of such a flimsy excuse? It is still a laugh out loud enjoyable story because Abby Jimenez gets it like no other. She knows how to put it in words, she knows how to keep the reader going because they are laughing and enjoying the banter between the characters so much. It's a whole thing. I mean, I don't like the fact that every single one of her books has ended in pregnancy because it somehow gives the impression that that is what a woman or a couple needs to aspire to as the ultimate happy ending. But the stories themselves are super fun. If this book hadn't been so roundabout and frustrating because the characters have selective hearing, I would have given this book a 4 stars. But right now it's hovering about a 3.5. So yeah, that was my third book for this vlog. I'll see you once I finish the next book for this vlog. Until then, bye. Hi there. Today is the 7th of February and remember when I said that I started reading 2 other books instead of reading Honey and Spice? Yeah. So last evening I finished reading another one of those books and holy shoots, I am in love with this book. That was really aggressive, but I feel like this book deserves it. And I'm so happy to have read this one. It's a favorite now, a full 5 out of 5 stars, but my book recommendation comes with terms and conditions. And the book that I'm talking about is this one, Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This is the first in the Maple Hill series and the title of this book is so apt and I love this book so goddamn much. I don't even know where to start with it. And the thing is, what I love most about this book isn't even the romance, although it is in the top 3. Anastasia Allen is a champion figure skater and she thrives on control. She has a planner and she knows what she is doing or what she's supposed to be doing at any time of day. It is important if she wants to represent the USA in the Olympics. Nate Hawkins, on the other hand, is the ice hockey captain and he's an all-round team player, a model captain, and he's also a hottie. When there's a mishap on the hockey rink, the hockey team is forced to share a rink with the figure skating team. And when Stacy's partner, Aaron, gets injured, Nate offers to help her even though he doesn't know the first thing about figure skating. Now, snark and sparks are about to fly, but it doesn't matter because Stacy has goals and she has to focus on those goals, and ergo, she has no time for a relationship. This book, I tell you, this turned me into an unhinged hyena. There's so much witty banter in here, be it between Nathan and Stacy, between the hockey team, between Stacy and her best friend Lola. The writing just cracked me up to no end and I was there thrashing around in my chair because I was laughing so much, tears threatening to fall as I read and reread these sentences, these paragraphs. And I feel like maybe the reason why the writing comes off so brilliantly is because the author is English and she is writing about American people. That English wit and sarcasm, it screams loudly from the pages. The romance, oh my god, it's hot and heavy and steamy, but it's also very sweet. Like the combination of Stacy, who is a fierce, a sassy, loving and ambitious woman, and Nate, who is an understanding and a gorgeous golden retriever of a human. It just feels like divine justice and it just makes sense that they belong together. But as much as I'm extolling the virtues of this book, I must warn you that if you are a minor or if you don't like steamy scenes, heavy scenes, romantic scenes like this, then do not pick this book up, don't read this book, because many of the scenes are R-rated. I wish that I could remove the scenes from the book and get you a G-rated version of it, because it would still be entertaining as hell, but I cannot do it, so I'm going to settle for this disclaimer. So that was my 4th book for this vlog, a banger if you will, no pun intended, I swear. I did start reading the next book for this vlog, the 5th book, which is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, and this I'm about 174 pages in and I'm really enjoying it, and I am stoically ignoring this book for some reason, although I know that it's going to be a good one, if not great, but somehow I'm not feeling this book at the moment, so I'm like, you stay there for a bit, I'm going to come back to you with after I finish this book, or 2 or 3 or 4. Anyway, so I'll see you once I finish reading this book. Until then, bye. Hi there, today is the 8th of February and last night I finished reading my next book for this vlog, which was Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. So this is the story of Mallory Greenleaf, who is done with chess. She has given up that part of her life because something traumatic has happened, and now her only concern is to take care of her family, her mom and her 2 sisters. She works at a mechanic shop and she's trying to make ends meet. She's trying to keep up with the expenses that are coming with having 2 school-going sisters, the mother's rheumatoid arthritis treatment, and a whole lot of other expenses that come with being an adult. But she gets talked into participating in a charity chess event by her best friend, and she goes there and she ends up beating the current world champion, whose name is Nolan Sawyer. After that, her life takes a turn for the drastic because there's cash prizes coming in, and it is opening her eyes to the fact that this is a way in which she can give her family a good life, the life that she thinks she deprived them of. But as the story progresses and as we see Mallory go to different tournaments, she starts winning big and she comes face to face with the sexism that reigns in chess as a sport. And even though all of this is happening, her love for the sport, that long lost, long banished love for the sport, comes crashing back down inside her. Along with it is also the fact that the world champion, the most famous man in chess, is now her rival. And since Mallory has promised herself that she is going to look at this as just another job and not do anything about it, how is she going to contend with her growing love for the sport, the love that's returning, and how will she contend with this whole situation forms Check and Mate. And I think that this is one of the cutest stories to have come out in a long time. I don't use cute that easily, but this is a very cute story. This book has very simple, easy, flowy writing. It has witty writing, and you know how much I am a sucker for witty writing in romances especially, and I laughed out loud so many times. I mean, it was not like icebreaker level laugh out loud, but Ali Hazelwood has a way of writing that will keep you invested, and it will keep you laughing and giggling, because some of these are not even like romantic puns or something. It's just basic everyday conversations that are happening through witty banter, and I am like, how are you so funny? I'm like one of those girls. Okay, there's so much of chess in here. Obviously this book is about chess, even though you won't understand most of what they are doing. Like some of the gameplays that they do, they're not really easy to understand, and you don't follow their train of thought because I'm not a chess player. And despite that lack of complete understanding of what chess is and how a proper chess game, like it's not like an amateur games that are happening. These are like proper full-fledged tournaments, people who compete for a living in chess. And even though you don't know what's exactly happening here, you can feel that tension, you can feel that understanding about the basics, that what you've got to do is win. Look at it like you're learning while you're getting entertained, and it makes this book that much lovelier. I mean, I love the bond between Mallory and her sisters, but sometimes I just want to punch her sister Sabrina in the face, because I mean, come on, I know she's a teenager and all, but just stop with your attitude already. And I just felt bad for Mallory. I mean, I know she also has a sort of, okay, if I give that up, I feel like the whole story will be void, but I was just so angry at the people in Mallory's life for a hot second. But then, as I've learnt with time, everybody has issues and everybody needs to work through them. But yes, that was my 5th book for this vlog, and this is one that I will definitely recommend. This is a great YA romance, a sports romance if you will, because I consider chess as a sport, as is argued for in this book. But yeah, that's my point. So this is the book that I finished reading last night, and today in the afternoon, about what afternoon, just a couple of hours ago, I started reading The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This is the first in the Dreamland Billionaires series, and I'm already about 106 pages in. And I like the writing style. It's quick, it's snappy. I like Zara. I'm not sure I like Rowan at this point, because he's got a huge stick up his you know what. I'm not supposed to discuss this book right now. I'll only discuss it once I'm done finishing it. But yeah, I'll check back in once I finish reading this book. Until then, hi there! Today is the 10th of February, and yesterday I finished reading 2 books, the first of which was the book that I was in the middle of during my last update, and that book was The Fine Print, the first in the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. I've been seeing great reviews of the series everywhere, but I should know by now that a majority of these books don't work for me. And this book, The Fine Print, which is the first in the Dreamland Billionaire series, isn't as bad as some of the other series out there, but it is irritating on some level. Rowan Kane is the youngest of 3 brothers who have each been left behind a task by their late grandfather. Brady Kane wants Rowan to think of ways to revamp Dreamland, which is the insanely successful theme park that Brady created and built, and to take over as director for the 6 months deadline that he's been given. And at the end of those 6 months, it will put to a vote to decide whether this whole empire, this Kane empire, will be left to the brothers or to the father. Now Zara works at a salon on the theme park premises, but her real dream is to become a creator who creates the rides. And when creator submissions open up, because now Rowan is taking over, she starts working on a proposal but drinks while she is drafting that proposal because she needs the courage to do it. But much to her horror, no thanks to the drinks, she accidentally sends it without proofreading it. So she is genuinely shocked when she learns that she's being offered her dream job because of how honest she was despite her rude phrasing. And in yet another twist, things get even more complicated when Rowan Kane kisses her. Rowan is a fiery cynic and believes that love is crap, but he finds himself being pulled towards Zara. And Zara has been burned before, but she chooses to believe in the goodness of people. What happens when these two are thrown together forms the entire story of this book. The premise was so promising, honestly, especially because it was set in a theme park full of roller coasters and rides. But it just hovers on the level of, okay, fine, that's all. And the back and forth between Zara and Rowan is mostly entertaining if you put aside the fact that no employee talks to their boss like that without getting fired. Instead, Rowan is very intrigued by her, and he even goes to the extent of talking to her under an alias because God forbid the world know that he can feel. And my biggest question is, why is everybody laughing so much in this book? Zara bursts out laughing, Zara snorts with laughter, Zara giggles, Zara throws her head back and laughs. I mean, okay, but 4 or 5 times a page? Because nobody laughs that much in a single day. Granted, some of these are funny, but some of these are so unfunny that even a glacier wouldn't move. And that's saying something given the current climate situation. Plus, Rowan is so far out from being a decent human being given the decisions that he has taken against the employees, that it seems a little suspicious that it doesn't get brought up for a major portion of the book, especially since Zara is one of those employees who are affected by those decisions. I mean, to each their own, I get it. But you'll see why I found this book so average and was so irritated while being invested in the characters and their arcs. This one was okay, but I've heard that the series gets progressively better comparatively, and that remains to be seen. So that was book 6, but I also finished reading another book that I found on Kindle last night, which is called The Lover by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a short book that I found on Kindle Prime Reading, and oh boy, I'm so glad that I found it and that I read it, because it is typical Silvia Moreno Garcia style. It starts off pretty calmly following Judith, who is the younger sister who is expected to do all the work around the bed and breakfast that she runs with her sister. So Judith and her friends cast a spell to find men to love for themselves, after which they are sent signs as to when they will find those men. So when Nathaniel walks in asking to rent a room, Judith is convinced that he is the one. But he chooses to marry her sister Alice instead. But another stranger has also entered Judith's life, and he looks like a vagrant, and he asks for things that can be deemed indecent, that are indecent if they are coming from a stranger. But what remains to be seen is how Judith will handle the presence of these two men in her life, especially now that the whole village is on tenterhooks because of a wolf prowling the forest. I really enjoyed the story because for half of it I was wondering where the story was going, and when I realized what was happening, I was really intrigued and was looking forward to see how the author would take it there. And the end wasn't even close to what I was expecting. It was creepy, it was horrifying, it was validating for every woman who's ever been strung along, it was satisfying. Oh, it was so good. I mean, it was gory, but it was good. So if you're looking for a short romance read that will also send chills down your spine, this is one that you should definitely check out. So that was book 7. So today I started reading book 8 for this vlog, which is Wildfire, the second in the Maple Hill series by Hannah Grace, and I'm about 225 pages in already, and I'm really enjoying it. Not as much as I was enjoying Icebreaker, but there is a lot of relatability in here which I was not expecting. So I have 160 pages to go before I finish this book, and I will check back in once I finish it. Until then, hi there, today is the 11th of February, and a few hours ago I finished reading the 8th book for this vlog, which was Wildfire, the second in the Maple Hill series by Hannah Grace. And although I knew what to expect from this book, I still wasn't ready for the kind of quips that were in here. Aurora Roberts, or Rory, is determined to make her life better and to stop acting out in order to get her dad to notice her. But at a party thrown by the hockey players in their college, she meets Russ, a shy hockey player, and they hit it off almost immediately. They end up sleeping together, and Rory slips out of his room soon after, deciding that this is going to be her last one night stand. Especially since she's going to a summer camp as a camp counselor, and there is a no fraternization policy among the staff over there. Russ, on the other hand, is a shy hockey player with confidence issues. So when Aurora shows an interest in him and when he is also attracted towards her, he decides that enough is enough. He has got to get his act together, especially since he is going to be a camp counselor that summer. And imagine the shock when they see each other at camp just 24 hours, less than 24 hours after that particular night. How they'll handle seeing and keeping their hands off each other, given that Aurora escaped after the night together, forms this entire story. I love this book in a different way than I love Icebreaker because of how different the characters are. Russ is a tall, muscular, good-looking hockey player, but he's also shy, sweet, loving, caring, and with a bunch of confidence issues. Aurora is a gorgeous, bubbly woman who is a motor mouth, and she hates silences. But as loud as she can be, she is loving and caring and understanding, and she gives too many chances to people who have wronged her, especially her dad. To see how these two characters interact with each other and bond with each other was an absolute delight, especially because, like Nate and Stassi from Icebreaker, these two make total sense. The humor again in this book is off the charts. We have Emilia, who is Aurora's best friend, and Xander, who they meet at camp, and they provide the comic relief, but I figured that Xander is the one who's doing most of the heavy lifting of the comic relief, and I love him for it. There's a lot of steamy scenes in here, and coupled with the fact that they have to sneak around at camp, it makes it even steamier. So once again, like I said for Icebreaker, if you are a minor or if you do not like steamy scenes, then this is not a book for you. This is not a series for you. On the other hand, if you like content like this, if you like steamy scenes, if you like reading about them, if you like a well-written college romance with a lot of such scenes, then this is one book that you should definitely pick up. So that was book 8 for this vlog, but I also finished reading book 9. I finished a short book that I found on Prime Reading, and that book was Rosie and the Dreamboat by Sally Thorne, the author of The Hating Game, a book that I read in 2022 and really loved. This book is part of a series of 6 books by 6 different authors in the Improbable Meet Cute series, and I was introduced to this series through the stories of Smriti from Santris, where she was reading Christina Lauren book from this series. And I picked this Sally Thorne book at random and I absolutely loved it. It's funny, it's cute, and this particular Meet Cute is really so lovely. I can't even begin to explain. I mean, it's free on Kindle to read for Prime readers, so if you'd like to go check that out, please do. So this book starts off with Rosie and her sister Bree at an expensive spa, where Rosie has bought Bree a coupon as a promotion gift. And Rosie feels like Bree is the better sister and that Rosie has the worst luck, a fact that is actually supported by the event that follows, because Rosie is now trapped in a flotation tank. She is stuck there, it won't open, and the fire department has to be called. Enter Leo, a firefighter or first responder who keeps Rosie sane through this harrowing time, and their interaction is the stuff of wholesome dreams. It's funny, it's emotional in places, it understandably has that romancy climactic feeling in the end. It's just the whole package, the story. You don't need to read a happily ever after for a story like this, because there is so much heart in the body itself, no pun intended. If you have Amazon Prime, you can read it for free, and even if you don't, then this book costs just 69 or 70 rupees. So I'd still recommend that you go ahead and read this book. This will take you like 40 minutes or something, and just read it. It's going to be the most wholesome 40 minutes of your day. So that was book 9 for this vlog, a very hearty book recommendation for me, and I don't know what I'm going to read next. I'll see you once I finish reading the next book for this vlog. Until then, hi there! Today is the 13th of February, and since my last update, I finished reading my 10th and 11th books for this vlog, the first of which is The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren. I couldn't contain my excitement after reading Rosie and the Dreamboat, and I decided to go ahead and read another book in the Improbable Meet Cute series, this time by an author duo that I absolutely love, and that's no secret. The Exception to the Rule is a little book, and it starts off with a string of emails between two people who call themselves T and C. Not terms and conditions, that's coming up next, that's the next book. But C has accidentally emailed T about an assignment instead of his teacher. And from there starts a yearly Valentine's Day tradition where they email each other, wishing each other a happy Valentine's Day every year, and only on that day. And they even go to the point where they compete with each other to see who emails first. Through those yearly emails, they become close somehow, and on Valentine's Day 2024, they decide to finally meet up back in their hometown. How their discovery of who the other is goes forms the crux of the story. I must say that at one point, I was so exasperated at the both of them, but that feeling was fleeting. For the majority of the second half, I couldn't keep the smile off my face. I was grinning stupidly like a maniac at my Kindle while I was reading all of this in public. We were sitting in a cafe and I am sitting there smiling at my Kindle. It's sweet, it's cute, and that moment of revelation, it sent butterflies through my stomach. I mean, Christina Lauren are masters of this genre, and I love them for it, for always entertaining me no matter what. So that was book number 10 that I finished reading yesterday. I finished reading book number 11 as well, and that was just a few hours ago. That book was Terms and Conditions, the second in the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. But before I talk about this book, I want to mention how tired I am of the trope where younger sunshine women with ambition are expected to make older a-hole billionaire businessmen see the wrong of their ways, only to have the said a-hole billionaire businessmen treat them like crap in crucial moments. Oh. Wait, I guess I was talking about this book after all. So, Terms and Conditions is the story of the oldest Kane brother, Declan, who is expected to get married and have a child if he wants to keep his inheritance. Yeah, Grandpa Kane really did a number on him. But Declan doesn't have time for all of this love crap. So he is willing to enter into an agreement, into a contract with a willing woman for the next 3 years, where they get married and have a child, barring feelings. It's all going to be a facade that they put up for the general public. Only Declan scares the woman away, and Iris, who's his secretary, who has been helping him with all of this and is coordinating the whole thing, is irritated because they are literally standing outside the venue where they are supposed to be announcing Declan's engagement. In a desperate move, Iris volunteers to be his fake wife because she thinks that, okay, I've been working for his dictatorial ass for about 3 years now, what could possibly go wrong? But a lot of developments are going to take place. Some they will love, most of them they will hate. But what happens when each of them realizes that the other has found a way to look into their very soul? Look, I really thought that book 2 was going to be better than the first book because of all the reviews, but nope. I'll even go to the extent of saying that this is a tad bit worse because there are so many structural problems. I don't even know where to start with it. And like I mentioned for the first book, this one also has a lot of laughter, a lot of laughing. Iris wheezes with laughter. She throws her head back and laughs. She giggles. She bursts out laughing. She laughs to herself. I'm irritated just thinking about how often Iris needs to be shown laughing because she's such a ray of sunshine. I mean, okay, I get it, but nobody laughs that much, Baba. My particular problem with this book was not that though. I just think that there was no smooth transition between when they were platonic to when they realized that they had feelings. It felt like there was a huge gap between those 2 points, and then the author decided to just take a huge leap across that gap. Also, the characters' actions are sometimes so contradictory that I know they can't just be character quirks. I could have overlooked it if it was a character quirk, but these contradictions are scattered throughout the book, and Declan is such a big a-hole. I mean, I know the whole point of the story is to show a character arc from when he is an a-hole and when he becomes a better person, but for the time that he was that insufferable person, insufferable big ass billionaire businessman, I just was so frustrated by him. I wanted to knock his head into the desk. I mean, what is it about the sunshine grumpy trope that allows for the man to be an a-hole to the woman and get away with it most times? And the woman says, I understand why you are the way you are and all that. Okay, I can get half of it at least, but many times it is like, I'm like, babe, that's just an excuse. But I'll give Lauren Asher one thing, that the female characters in her books do not let these billionaire men steamroll all over them. They put their foot down when the men go too far. I wish that they would not be so forgiving and that they didn't give in a few days, but that's the beauty of them. They will show how strong they are by putting an end to the Kane's a-holery, but they will also be forgiving and understanding of the failings of a human being, and for that I applaud the author. But overall, I sped through this book, but I didn't like it as much. So that was book number 11 for this vlog. I'm planning to pick up a graphic novel that I found on my library's catalog, so maybe I will film the next clip sooner than I expect. Until then, hello, today is the 14th of February. A happy Valentine's Day to everyone celebrating, and as against what I said yesterday about filming a clip sooner because I was going to read a graphic novel, yeah, no, I couldn't film it. I mean, I did finish 3 books. So the graphic novel that I finished last evening, which was my 12th book for this vlog, was Stage Dreams by Melanie Gilman. This is set in the New Mexico territory in 1861, and we follow Grace, who is a trans woman running away from home in Georgia to avoid conscription. She is traveling in a stagecoach with some other people, trundling away towards freedom, when Fleur, the Great Hawk, who is a notorious bandit of sorts, robs the coach and takes her ransom. But when Fleur realizes Grace's situation and she tells her about her plans to steal plans from the Confederate gala, Grace offers to help her, much to Fleur's shock. How these two make it in and out of the gala and how their equation shifts and changes over all of this forms this entire story. This is a short queer historical romance graphic novel that gives you a taste of the old Western landscape through the windows of its panels. It somehow transports you back there and is thrilling towards the end, because even if you don't know a lot of American history, you'll still be rooting for these two. And if you want to know a bit of American history, then cartoonist Melanie Gilman has included snippets of American history that is related to some particular points in the novel towards the back. So through these you get a little idea about what exactly all of this is about and why what Fleur and Grace are doing is so important. This graphic novel is short, it's sweet, it's thrilling, it's queer. I loved it. If you can get your hands on this book, then please do read it. After this, I moved on to my 13th book for this vlog, and this was another book in the Improbable Meet Cute series, but this time it was by an author that I haven't read before. And that book was Drop, Cover and Hold On by Jasmine Guillory. And unfortunately, this was a writing style that I didn't enjoy. Okay, so this is about Daisy, a serial smiler who is currently fixating on the fact that she doesn't want to go into her usual favorite bakery today on Valentine's Day because the baker over there always glares at her. Instead, she plans to spend her day at home binge watching rom-coms. But she is tempted in the end because who can say no to blueberry hand pies, right? And she enters the bakery. The baker in question, Harris, looks up and on seeing that it's her, promptly scowls. I mean, what was she even thinking, right? But before she can do anything, an earthquake strikes and now she's here trapped in this bakery with this very handsome but very rude owner. At this point, she knows that she is going to wipe that scowl off his face, but how she is going to do that she doesn't know, and that's what forms the crux of this story. Listen, I really wanted to like this book, okay, but I don't think Daisy's brand of humor is for me. It's awkward and it's half-baked at best, pun fully intended. And even though it's not technically insta-love because they have met before, by the end I was like, girl, what are you doing? And you boy, you've got to do better. You can't just go around glaring at women you like. What is this, middle school? Oh, he's glaring at you, he treats you like that because he likes you. Just no. Anywho, this morning, by this morning I mean just an hour or two ago, I finished reading my 14th and last book for this vlog, for which I played it safe by reading an author who I know I will at least like. And that author is Abby Jimenez, and the book in question is Worst Wingman Ever. Worst Wingman Ever is part of the Improbable Meet Cute series, and yes, I keep going back to this series because I've had a great experience with it so far. Worst Wingman Ever is about Holly, who is a hospice nurse and who is taking care of her grandma. She returns to her car one day in the garage of her grandma's apartment and she finds a Valentine's Day card in her windshield, and she is very amused to see what it contains. This mistake leads to an exchange of notes and little gifts and a burgeoning affection between these two anonymous strangers. But what happens when Holly stops coming to this apartment building? This is such a sweet story, more about Holly's relationship with her grandma and Holly and her sister reminiscing about grandma's badassery than anything. But it also impresses upon you the importance of being kind, even to strangers, or maybe especially to them. Holly and John might not know each other, but to see them being so understanding of each other without any expectation, it was so reassuring. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but it put a big smile on my face. Another thing that put a smile on my face was the fact that Kintsugi Spa of mud wraps and flotation tanks from Rosie and the Dreamboat makes an appearance here. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because this is part of a series and people and events and places from the other stories in this series appearing in this book shouldn't be that much of a surprise, but it did put a smile on my face. But it's a great series and I'm so glad that I picked the sweetest, the most emotional story of the lot, which is Worst Wingman Ever, to round off this vlog. So that was the end of my romance reading vlog, in which I read 14 romance books so that I could get you some fresh romance book recommendations this Valentine's Day. And I can't believe I finished reading 14 romance books, even though not All of them were on my TBR at the beginning of this video, at the beginning of this vlog, but I'm still proud because I did find a few favorites in here while getting you those romance book recommendations like I promised you. So what did you think of this vlog? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of these book recommendations? Did you like them? Will you be picking any of these up after watching my reviews? And what are your favorite romance books or stories? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.